This is the Suplex Assassin Alex Kane, and you are listening to the CCP podcast. And just remember that Boomaye is for the people.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live. I am Chris Page. It is a fantastic Friday afternoon. I hope each and every one of you are having a great day and looking forward to your weekend. Glad to have so many of you here so early on in the show. I see Mr. Rain. Shout out to you, sir. I see UK Paul's going to be in here in just a few minutes. We have a very special guest, Mama Mercer, in the house. Mama to our guest today, coming to us from the great state of Texas. It is a hotbed of professional wrestling. It has been since I grew up watching it in the late 80s. I cannot wait to continue our dive into the Texas scene with our guest today. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to go ahead and get the man in. It's watchdog time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beyond the Bell, Mr. Trent Mercer. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Welcome to welcome to the show. I know we've been we teed this one up a couple of weeks ago, and the day is finally here. I cannot wait to sit down and pick your brain, talk a little bit about not only what you've got going on, but also what you got going on in Texas with Lions Pride and all kinds of other odds and ends. Before we get too deep into the party, how the hell are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Wrestling is doing really well. Obsidian's picking up quick, and Texas is blowing up.
It is, man. Texas. Listen, as far as the states are concerned, I put Texas right there in top four. I'd say Texas, California, Florida, and Georgia right now are incredible places for anybody to be on the scene and getting into the ring. It just seems like it continues to grow and grow and grow. With you in professional wrestling, I always start these things at the top, and I'm kind of like, I like to know where you fall in love and where does professional wrestling come into your life? What were you watching? What kind of stories drew you in to get your fandom going? Because that's usually where it all starts.
For me, I want to say probably the 90s. Because I was born in 2002, so I wouldn't say the 90s, the early 2000s, and my grandfather would watch WWF, and as a kid, he sort of just had it on the TV one day, and then I'm running around the house doing my thing, and then it catches my attention, and I don't remember a whole lot of it, but it definitely caught my attention. My grandmother, my mom, they've all told me, you were watching wrestling with your grandfather, and the next thing you know, you're doing elbows and swantons on the couch. So just like every kid, trying to copy what you see, even though they tell you not to.
Right. It's my day. I remember sitting down with my great grandmother, and this was back in NWA days, and we were watching Dusty get the better of the Horseman or vice versa. And literally, maybe not too long after that, I was diving off of the downstairs couch onto pillows, dropping elbows too. So I get it. I 100% do. Shout out Mr. Rain says 1 year after him, 2000 babies in the house. So you got a lot of younger generation cats, man. And truthfully, this is where I say professional wrestling is in such a great place right now, and is going to be because of the youth movement that is out there right now. There are so many young, talented guys everywhere. And when you, like you said, you were born in 2002, is that right? Did I hear that correctly? I just want to make sure. When do you really start thinking that, all right, I really want to try to do this? Like, where's that intersection for you?
So we got out of it probably in the early 2008, 2011 era, because I was going through some personal stuff, some dark issues with my mom and our living situation and everything. And then I want to say probably around 2015, about when NXT really started kicking off with the Black and Gold brand. It caught my attention, and I kept watching, and it was about my junior year of high school. I had always known I wanted to do wrestling. I just didn't know how, especially with the only place that we really knew of was Booker T's place in up near
Yeah,
Houston.
reality, sure.
And Booker T's, yeah, reality, it's one of the best schools here in Texas, and it was just expensive for me, and it's a 2 hour drive from where
Mm-hmm.
I'm at, so it was one of those situations where it's like I don't think I'm actually gonna be able to do this because in order to go to training, I would have to have somebody drive me 2 hours every day, and then 2 hours back. And being in high school, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when the pandemic happened, I found Lions Pride, and Lions Pride, it was I don't want to say it was just getting started because it started in probably like 2017, 2018, and then it took that break when the pandemic started. And then as soon as the pandemic was close to being over, Houston Carson had started renovating his new place, and I found out about it, and I told my grandmother, I was like, "Can can we go do a tour of this place?" Like I didn't know there was wrestling here in town, and so I was 17, and we went and did a tour. And Houston was like, as soon as you walked out the door, I saw it. You have that look, you have that like ting in your eye, you have what it takes. And no, I went home, I thought it over, and I talked to my mom, and because with Houston, unless you're 18, you have to have your parents sign off on your
Mm-hmm.
contract to or your waiver, so you don't hold them liable and all that. And my mom was like, "If you really want to do this, I'll sign this paper." And she's like, "This is your 18th birthday gift," and I was like, "Okay, that's fair. I'll take that over a car any day." So we signed the papers, and next thing you know, we're in wrestling training.
First of all, shout out to Mama Mercer for being a supportive parent and and allowing you the opportunity to follow that dream, brother. Because very similar, I grew up in Alabama, and it was the same way. I started training at 17, and I had to have the same thing. Waiver had to be signed, like it was the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I 100% get it, and there were plenty of people who were trying back then that were of my age and their parents wouldn't sign waivers for it. So the fact
Mm-hmm.
that your mother acknowledged the fact that this is something that you truly want, and you know what I mean, like it's got to be, just having that support has got to be fucking amazing, especially
Yes.
at 17 when you're about to step into professional wrestling, which it's not an easy sport. It's not an easy thing to do. If it was, everybody would do it.
Not at all.
So when you're getting ready to take that step into Lion's Pride, and you're getting ready to get yourself motivated, really, to handle what's about to come your way. What was the training process like there for you? Like, what were some of the things that you struggled with? How did you overcome them? Like, what was give me your take on going through training.
I would say the physical part wasn't that bad, and it wasn't that hard, especially doing wrestling in high school. It really made it easier for me to learn like rolling and in a sense bumping with just getting slammed on like a inch to 2 inch thick mat on top of concrete. So it was sort of easy in the physical aspect. Um, I would say my biggest issue was promo work and just being vocal and open in the ring because I'm a very closed off person. I'm not very outgoing outside of
Mm.
wrestling. So I would definitely say promos were my hardest issue.
Well, let me ask you this because I've talked to so many talented guys all over the world over the last year or so, give or take. And anytime I get the chance to talk to somebody who was wrestling amateur league or wrestling in college or high school, excuse me, high school, college, I'm curious, did you have a hard time turning that competitive switch off? because just wrestling high school and collegiately versus wrestling professionally. A lot of the guys that I've chatted with, that was something that was a hang up for them because they had to realize how when to pull back because you're used to
Mm-hmm.
throwing people or you get where I'm going. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, did you have any
Yeah,
issues with turning off the competitive switch uh to get into the professional ring?
I would say I don't want to say it was more of that competitive switch because when I was in high school, I really didn't think of it as, oh, I want to go to state. You know, everybody would love to go to state, and I mean, we all that's because that was our big goal, especially wrestling in high school. Um, but for me, it was more of just learning to be disciplined and just having something to build off of for pro wrestling. Because, like I said, I always knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't know how I was going to do it because I didn't know if there was a closer school, if you know, when I graduated high school, would I have to move to go to Reality of Wrestling? But I knew that, especially with guys like Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, they had that amateur background. That was like something that they built off of. And you see guys like Kurt Angle, like he made it to the
Mm-hmm.
top. And so I was like, if I go into wrestling in high school, I can definitely use this to build something like whether it's chain wrestling or just needing to be able to take a hit. Um, that sort of was just pretty much what the main goal was for me in high school. But I will say, as far as the competitive drive to constantly, in a sense, not put somebody over, it was very hard for. I guess my ego was just big because I didn't want to be looked at as weak, and so it was more of a maturity thing that I had to grow into to learn. This is pro wrestling. This doesn't mean you're weak. This just means you're doing this. This is the job that you need to be
Mm-hmm.
doing. So in a sense, it was just more of a maturity thing. I want to say on my part.
Well, I glad that you acknowledge that because like I didn't wrestle in high school. So like I just went straight out of the frying pan into the fucking fire. And of course, this is 1999. Times are way different, and the thing the landscape is completely different. When you go through and you're dealing with your training aspect and you're working through everything, and we're not giving away secrets by any means. When you start thinking about the character work and you start thinking about who is Trent Mercer, what's that process look like for you?
The beginning stages of Trent Mercer was all right. So I have a dark background of my mom going through a domestic relationship and dealing with that, and then I also have a background from doing law classes from 7th grade all the way up till my senior year. I did some kind of law class. So we were trying to figure out how can we put the two together. And the original idea I'd had was a mercenary gimmick. And my coach was like, that's something we can grow into, but starting off, I would say let's start a little smaller. And so we were thinking of names, and Trent was a great for a first name. My last name at the time, my last name was not. So Trent Johnson, it doesn't have that ring to it. So we're like, all right, what could we use for last name? And we were like, all right, since your original idea was mercenary, why don't we take Mercer for mercenary? And I was like, I like
Mm-hmm.
that. And it also gives like a throwback to the early cartoon days of like Power Rangers from Dino Thunder, the White Ranger, Trent Mercer. So I was like, all right, this is cool. I can definitely work with this. And I was always the kind of person that I'll look out for others, and I'm always one of the first ones, especially if somebody like got hurt while we were training. I was always the first one like, hey, are you all right? Are you good? Do you need anything? It was like you're always watching out for people. What if we do the watchdog? And I was like,
Now
okay,
we're cooking.
okay, I like where this is going. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Now we're cooking. And, so for the longest we did the Watchdog Trent Mercer, and now we, after I had sort of turned heel and I was trying to figure out a new direction to go, I sort of lost who the character was for a while because I'm just now finding who I really am, and I'm like 4 to 5 years in. And so we have our guys, some of our guys who already know who they are, and they're already making waves. And then some of us, it just takes a while for that light bulb to finally flick on. And after my grandfather passed this past February, I I really started to think about it, and I was like, all right, I'm the grandson of a Vietnam War veteran, and since I was a kid, he had always sort of put that military mindset into me and that discipline, and it was always hard on me. So I was like, all right, there's that soldier aspect, and then he would always take me out hunting. So I was like, all right, I sort of have that hunter mentality too. It's like, all right, this is, you track this, you track that. You always want to try and sort of understand how the animals can move and stuff like that. And so I was like, all right, we have a soldier and we have a hunter. So now I'm currently finding how my character is sort of like the Marvel characters, the Punisher and Craven the Hunter. So I'm sort of trying to figure out how to mix the hunter and the soldier the soldier mentality together.
First of all, let
And
me commend you for using the fucking Punisher. That is one of my all time faves, bro. Let me just I don't mean to step on you while you're in the middle of that. I gotta yes. All right.
but yeah, no, it's I sort of don't want to like give myself a nickname in a way because I feel like sometimes you don't have to have a gimmick. Sometimes you just need to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you watch guys in like Japan, guys in Japan don't always start out with a gimmick. They start out as just your basic, I guess you could say 2K character, all black. Still trying to find out who you are. You just got your name. That's all you are. And then slowly you start to build a gimmick. And so that's sort of what I'm just trying to do right now is just build the gimmick, and maybe something will come from the crowd. Maybe a fan will give me this nickname, and I'm like, oh, I like that. Let's roll with that.
Well, Mr. Rain, I see your question. I'm gonna come to it in just a second, buddy. Don't think I missed it. I got you. Um, at least in my day, I had a terrible, absolutely fucking terrible first gimmick, and my buddies let me work it for a year before somebody told me that it was just dumb. And it was, and I was like, I thought it was the coolest thing. So at least you haven't had to work for, and I say that to say it takes time to hone in on who you are and what you want to come across as. It took, for me, it was, I don't know, 18 months before Chris Page became a thing. And I grew up with a DDP was my guy in the late 90s. I was like, okay, took Page from DDP, and Chris was my neighbor. And I just had to figure out what was I going to put the other C. Well, that's where Chronic came in. So Chronic Chris Page was born, and it was just off to the races from there. So when you half of the fun is piecing together the presentation, I feel, and you don't know until you go out there and try. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And as you're going through these inundations of who Trent Mercer is, and you're honing this in, it can be a very beautiful thing. If as you're layering in the character work itself, I think it's tremendous that you are utilizing pieces of your grandfather. First of all, my condolences. February was not that long ago. Um, and that you're using that as a way to, from my perspective, to keep the memory alive. And you know what I mean? Like it's something that can fucking work, and I think that it will. I want to come over to the chat real quick because Mr. Rain has a really good question for you. I said, what
Yes,
was
sir.
the one pro wrestler that inspired you to really make the dream a reality?
uh, it's so hard because so what really well, like I said, what got me back into it was NXT Black and Gold in like around 2015, 2014. Um, you had Adrian Neville who was slowly exiting NXT to the main
Mm-hmm.
roster, and then you had Finn Balor who was coming in. So that right there is what caught my attention because I had started like learning about NXT. I got the app and I got the WWE app, and then my first NXT pay per view. I want to say it was the Demon Finn Balor versus Neville for number one contendership, and that match right there, just the intensity and the back and forth, fighting spirit. I would say it's not necessarily one person; it's sort of those two in that match specifically that really brought me into it.
I dig it. I think when I think I'm sorry, when I think old NXT, man, I always go back to Bo Leave, baby. I used to be a Bo Leaver.
Yeah,
I thought that character was fantastic. Oh,
like I said, Neville, like slowly going out. I caught a little bit of Neville and Bo Dallas facing each other, and they put on some
dude,
phenomenal
their ladder
matches.
match is so underrated. It's just a personal opinion.
Oh, big
Completely
time.
underrated match.
One of the best ones.
Facts. As you're getting situated, we navigate through training a little bit. I'm sorry, there's feedback and it's throwing me off. It's my bad. I don't know if it's on my side or your side, but it's there and it's in my ear, and I'm like, oh wait. Um, your debut, you get through training. You
Yes,
get
sir.
into to your first match, man. What's that look like? And what kind of emotions were going through you? Were you nervous? Did you have any moments to where walk me through it?
Definitely nervous, most definitely. Because like I said, I'm not a very outgoing person, and I will say what took the edge off was it was actually a battle royal I was in.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a battle royal, and then I had my first match, my first singles match, the following month because I was introduced during the Lions Den Championship inaugural tournament. So the battle royal was to determine who would get a bye in the tournament in the first round. And like I said, it took the edge off a little bit, but still just having that split moment between walking through the curtain and getting to the ring where everybody else was. It I don't want to make it seem like it was a bad thing, but it's sort of like it felt like I was just the air got tight and there was so much pressure. It was like, okay, do I walk this way? Do I walk that way? What do I do? Because you're still trying to, especially during your debut, you're still trying to figure out who you are. And like, all right, do I go straight to the ring? Do I pander to the crowd, or I don't. Which way do you go? And I swear, I thought it took me a minute to get to the ring. It probably didn't even take me 30 seconds. Like I was straight. I was through the curtain. And I was straight to the ring. There was no. I might have high fived one or two people, and that was it.
Well,
There was not a whole lot of time between me getting through that curtain and me getting in that ring. I was nervous.
well, thankfully it's battle royal, so you guys run in, run out. You can hide that really well. What you can't hide, at least you didn't pull me, dude. I tripped over the fucking steps and the ropes going into the ring, and it was not done accidentally. So that was how I debuted, brother. And I trolled the city every time we came there since. I tripped over the stairs and the ropes every fucking time. It was.
I've had before. I've done that many times before, tripping over the top rope too.
Well, I never jumped over the top rope, buddy. I went through the middle, and it was just I can't believe that it happened. Guys in chat, if you do have questions, feel free to drop them. I will get them worked in. My apologies. I should have mentioned that to you earlier. Um, when as you're cruising through here, man, like, talk to me about Lions Den. Um, talk to me about what's going on there, and the school itself. I had Chris Chaos on earlier this week, or maybe last week at this point. He's gone through the same school, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've got somebody coming up in August that's coming through the same school. So something's happening there. What's the scenery looking like?
It's from when I've started, it has skyrocketed big time. I want to say when I started, we probably had maybe 10, 12 students at most. Now we're probably 20, mid 20s.
Mhm.
We've grown over the years, and we're at the point where we no longer have like a locker room where it's 75% out of towners, and then this next year it's 50% out of towners. Now we have 25 at max out of towners, and most of our roster is now in-house students. And so Lions Pride is definitely kicking off in a direction that we've all been hoping for. And I'm just, we've had some of our guys fall off, but every time it's like, all right, maybe this person might fall off. We have like two or three other people who step up and join, or step up and join the roster. It's incredible. We're no longer have just one title. We have two titles. Um, and one of those titles went from being a student only title to now looking for the best talent in Texas. And so Lions Pride is just a phenomenal place to be. And we have every now and then we'll have people from AEW, because Houston, when he was coming up, he had Lance Archer as his mentor, and he was on the road with
Mhm.
Ricky Starks, tearing up the roads here in Texas. He's been on cards with Keith Lee, and we've had Rikishi and Austin Theory. We've had so many big names that have come out of Texas or come from Louisiana to like wrestle in Texas, to teaching us. I've seen Lance at Lions Pride maybe 2 to 3 times. Sometimes they're just pop-ins to help us, not help us, for us to help him, put a vignette together. I remember, I want to say that his second visit, he came in and he just ran through the entire our old facility. He ran through the whole facility, just laying all the students out from front door all the way to the back of the Lions Den. We get to help guys like that, make themselves more known, and just get eyes on them. And then we got guys like Ricky Saints who will come in and he'll teach us how to sell, or he'll teach us how to, during this gray area, just do something random that looks like it makes sense, or just to fill that empty space, that so nobody looks lost. We've we're just extremely, I'll say, extremely blessed, because we have a coach who's trained at so many facilities over Texas, and he's found a way to bring something from each school and give it to us. So, we're one of those few schools in Texas that makes sure every student that leaves there and goes on the road isn't missing anything. We can cut a promo. Our footwork is great. We have our somewhat of our character down. We know how to work the crowd. If we get lost, we know how to fix it. Turn a fuck up into a hiccup. Um, we're just extremely blessed. That's all I can really say, is we're blessed and we are spoiled. If the one we really think
Well,
about it.
you said a couple of things there that I want to dive into a little bit. And that the first thing
Yes,
is
sir.
is how when you started, there was 10 students, now there's 25 ish, and probably growing. And how uptake of outside talent has kind of trickled down. That tells me that, I mean, not only is something being done right, but you're going to be put in a position to where you guys can run your own shows without outside bookings. And oh, by the way, this just now went from a training facility to a company, like to a full blown
Mhm.
company with a training school attached to it.
Yes, sir.
And with the scene
Yes,
in
sir.
Texas, like to me, that's pretty fucking good. Like that's, you know, your guy. I mean, it tells me that the training that's going on is you're bringing in new talent. New talent's going to continue to come in through those front doors, and you're building something. And it sounds like, you know, you guys are on, you specifically, and some of the other guys were on the ground floor of that to start building this thing. So it's a much
Yes, sir.
bigger thing. When you sit back and you think about it, you guys are right there on the cusp to being able to run everything without having anyone but yourselves, and that's something that you should pat yourselves on the back about.
No, we Houston. He makes sure that we know that we are definitely going in the right direction, and he won't let up uh, off the gas when we're going. If we're slacking off, then he's gonna tell us straightforward, "Hey, we need to kick it up, or I will bring outside talent back in. I don't want to, but if that's the case, we will." And we look as that. I don't, and not in a bad way, as a threat, because if we're bringing in outside talent, then that means we're slacking off and that we're doing something wrong, at least in my eyes. So I think when we lower the amount of talent that we're, or outside talent that we're bringing in, it just shows us that everybody's firing on all
Mm-hmm.
cylinders. Everybody's giving it 100%. Everybody's training their ass off, and we're definitely doing everything we need to be up there with guys like reality wrestling. There's very few schools here that I guess you could say run full shows, have their own production, and don't need that many outside talent. Most of if we bring out outside talent, it's at the point where they're mostly just a test for us once we get a championship. Like I remember when I got my first championship, I think I had Reality Wrestling's Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Davidson as one of my biggest tests. And so once we have guys who hold the title for the first time, it's a big it's mostly a big test when we bring in outside talent. And most of it's from Reality Wrestling. And now Houston's starting to realizing the bigger I want to say the bigger pool in Houston, like guys like Daniel Ryan. I mean, me and Chris Chaos just wrestled Daniel Ryan in a 2-on-1 handicap match, and Danny tested us in a big way. And I'm forever grateful for that. I love having outside talent come in every now and then and test us, and it really shows where if we're slacking off. Like I said, if I'm not able to keep up with this talent, then I need to step my game up. Otherwise, I'm gonna just keep letting guys like this pass me up, and I want to stay on the level that they are.
I saw a match with Danny O'Ryan and Stephen Wolf from New Texas Pro, and I can't remember what match it is off the top of my head. I just know I'll know it if I see it. It was in a high school gymnasium, and that was my first exposure to Orion, and I was hooked from that one match. That guy's fucking fantastic. He is got
Danny's
something. They don't make them. They make them different in Texas, man. They don't make them the same everywhere else. I'm telling you. When you what'd you say now?
Texas
I'm
strong
telling
style.
you,
That's what we go by.
I'm here for it, man. It sounds like it. And you're not just limited to Lions Den. You've done some traveling around Texas too. Talk to me about some of your
Yes, sir.
journeys that you've made, and then we'll get into some championships. And then, Mr. Rain, I've got your question. I see it. I'll get right to it. I got you, man.
Traveling, it's a lot of fun, and I will say, going back to the maturity side, I've my first couple of years, like I said, I've dealt with some dark stuff in my past, and a lot of that has held me back. But after my grandfather passed away in February, I really like drilled into my head, hey, this is it. This is like you made a promise to him. It's time for you to live up to it. So I've been traveling as much as I can. Um, I've had guys like Jack Calloway who looks up to me and I look up to him. He's been like, "Hey, stay on call. I might call you this day to, and I might need a baby face or a heel. Just have your phone me." And I'm like, "All right, I got you." Um, I've been really branching out a lot this year, and it's a lot of just getting on the road, going to these different places, and just networking. And now, I'm slowly making my way onto the heart of Texas down in Waco. Um, I'm slowly trying to get onto Texas Contenders. I've been on Texas Contenders one time. It was when they started up about 3 years ago. Um, and again, the immature, 17, 18-year-old in me was like, man, I'm hardly wrestling for like no money. It's like, why am I even here? And it took me a while to realize it's not money that you're really in this
That's
for. It's for the
oh,
love of game.
absolutely. If you're in it for the money, man,
It's
I hate to be the bearer of bad.
you're yeah. So I'm now maturing, and I'm 22, about to be 23, and I'm like, all right, now I'm starting to find myself as a human being. I'm finding myself as a wrestler, and I'm starting to see things a lot straighter. And so this year we've been traveling a lot. I have traveled a little bit in the past. I've traveled up to Ivan Warsaw's promotion in Arkansas. Rest in peace to that guy. I know he passed away here recently, but I've had the opportunity to wrestle in Arkansas one time, and I really hope to just keep traveling more. Hopefully working in New Texas. They got a lot of great connections. Um, and so hopefully I can make those connections turn into outside bookings in other states.
Well, you're kind of talking to the right guy for that. I'm not sure if you're aware, but you know, have kind of been doing this for a couple of years and have a reputation that we can easily make some things happen or get you in touch with some people to make some things happen. I want to touch on this, and truly, I've heard you make reference to this a couple of times on the show, and I just want to acknowledge the fact that I don't know what you went through, what the dark days looked like for you. Whether I can only give you my story. I was a alcoholic and I was a drug addict when I was on the road. That's why I got out of professional wrestling. It's because I was addicted and I fell into the wrong crowd. And it's not, and I say that to say, not for a pity party or any of that bullshit that comes along with it, because I acknowledge that I made those decisions back in that time. Uh, but I don't regret it because those decisions have put me in the position that I'm in right now. It's turned me into the man that I am right now. So whatever, and this is not just for you, this is for anybody that's out there. If you're battling anything or you're dealing with anything, first of all, know that you can change. You can change your life. It can happen. You just have to be willing to make the sacrifices to do it. And sometimes that means you got to cut everybody off, and that's just what you got to do. It's what I had to do, and it took me 3 or 4 years. But I'm telling you, whatever that situation is for you, you're never by yourself. Number one, there will always be somebody there for you and there with you, and that's for with anybody. And I felt compelled to just give you my story and not knowing any of your situation, but I don't want you to dwell on that. That whatever it was, it's shaping you into who you are going to become. It does not define you at all. What defines
Yes,
you
sir.
is everything that you do from that day forward. And if there's anyone out there who
Mm-hmm.
holds anything against anybody for bettering themselves, fuck you. You've never probably been in the situation. I get it. I understand. And I don't know why I felt like I needed to say that, but I did. I felt like I just needed to bring that out because you've said that a couple of times.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, and if anybody is wanting to know my story, I'm an open book. Um, I'll open up. Actually, I'll pull the curtain back right now, and I'll tell a little bit of it. So Mama Mercer, I'm sure she's watching this. Me and her, she had me at a young
Hmm.
age, and I think if I remember correctly, she was still in high school, so she was very immature. You know, she had her mess ups. And in 2008, you know, she got married, and it was the guy was a complete asshole. You know, he was a meth head. Um, you know, so he abused my mom, and I was there for the most part, seeing all of it. You know, just a scared 8-year-old kid not knowing what to do, and this is sort of where my grandfather comes into play. My dad wasn't ever in the picture that much either. You know, he was in and out, and it was sort of the only people that could really take care of me was my grandparents. And so my grandfather and my grandmother, she took me in. They took me in. Um, and my grandfather is the biggest male father figure I've had my entire life. He like I said, he instilled that tough love soldier mentality in me, and you know, I don't want to dive too deep
You don't have
into
to.
the
You don't have to
issues.
dive into anything that you don't want
uh,
to dive into, sir. You do not.
but like I say, Mama Mercer's made her mistakes, and I don't hold any of them to her. You know, she's grown from it. She's become one of the best mothers that I could ever ask for. And instead of turning, you know, to a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction, like most people would in that situation, I sort of broke that cycle for myself and for my future family. So that way, you know, we don't, yes, we're around that. We're around domestic violence and drug addictions, but that doesn't define who we are.
Mm-mm.
That, if anything, that's a sign for us to go the opposite direction and want better for us and for our future kids and for the bloodline that we want to continue.
Well, it can never be easy in situations like that, but literally, like I just said, it doesn't. Even with Mama Mercer, she may have made mistakes, but that doesn't define her. You know, what defines her is now,
Exactly.
and you just said it.
Yes.
She's the best mother in the world. So sometimes we have to what I call it the Andy Dufresne moment. And if anybody knows who Andy Dufresne is, it's from the Shawshank Redemption. It's one of my favorite movies. The very end of it, there's a monologue where he says that he had to crawl through a river of shit to come out cleaner on the other side. And sometimes people have to do that. And like I said, I don't. It could be any situation, and I'm a firm believer that we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. It's only one of those, and my name ain't Kurt Hennig, so it ain't me. And that was my Mr. Perfect joke, folks. I'm here all week. Um, I do want to go over to the chat. I'm sorry, didn't mean to take it there by any means, but man, I just felt compelled because I could you're wearing it, you were wearing it, and I was just kind of like, it doesn't whatever it was, whatever it is, you can persevere, and you can have your Andy Dufresne moment and come out cleaner on the other side. If anything, you've already learned some lessons, and
Yes, sir.
sometimes we got to go through it to prepare ourselves for the future. Let me shoot over here to the chat real quick. Mama Mercer said, "You're never at home ever. You're either at the den, the gym, at work, or on the road." So there you go. Um, and I do want to shoot over here, but let me find fucking Mr. Rain's question. Out of any class or seminars, if you've done any, who was your favorite, and what piece of advice have you taken away that sticks with you to this day?
Mm, I think the biggest one is probably the Lance Archer. You know, one thing that he really helped me with, and it's a way to look at it when you're a heel. It's if you ever get lost in a match, um, just remember the main thing. You know, it's a fight. You know, it doesn't have to be pretty. if it looks pretty and it looks perfect, then it's probably staged. There's nothing ever goes perfect in a match. So I will say, probably Lance Archer. His seminars have been my favorite. There's a lot of knowledge there from Japan to WWE. He's worked for, I think, every major umbrella company for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, every umbrella company he's been a part of.
TNA too is Lance Hoyt. That was fantastic. Not really, but we'll say it was.
Oh,
Uh, I think let's talk about championships, man. Your first run with the Lions Den Championship was a rather lengthy one. How does it feel to when you get that belt in your hands and then you have this pretty substantial run? It had to have been a lot of fun for you. What was that? What was that like?
it was a lot of fun, man. It was, especially being in the tournament to crown the first ever one, and then come around probably a year later to win it. Starting out the gate, it was great. I had a lot of great matches. I've had 2 out of 3 falls. Had the first ever Lions Pride Sports coffin match. Wrestled a lot of great guys: Pac Ortega, Ryan Davidson. Um, God, there were so many guys, so many great guys that I've wrestled. Jack Galloway. It was a lot of fun. I had, if anything, I would say that year alone was probably my favorite year of my entire career so far.
In the 4 to 5 year run, that 1 year run, man. Listen, Ryan Davidson. Every time you mention his name, my ADD kicks in, and I immediately flash to another great fucking cage match that I've seen was him and Danny Limelight from Raw. That was
Yeah, I heard that one was
fucking
really. I saw highlights
fire,
from that. That one
bro.
was great.
Fire. Danny Limelight's a friend of the channel. I've had an opportunity to sit down and talk to him at length about that whole story and that whole program. And Davidson's a beast, man. The whole scene in Texas is
No, it is
just
impressive.
wild right now. There's
Hmm.
legitimately so many of you guys out there that are all looking to make your mark and make it in such a impactful way. Um, as moving forward, we'll talk a little bit about some modern stuff because we did have one of your tag partners on a week or so ago, Mr. Chris Chaos, fantastic little young man. I won't say little, but not fantastic young man. I had a
He's pretty
I had a
smart.
great conversation with him, and I'm curious about how this whole faction comes together. And then the name was on the tip of my head, and I've lost it in the midst of this conversation. That you guys have put together, and you guys are working. You're working collectively now.
Yeah, yes, sir. So Chris joined about a year and a half ago. Um, right out the gate, I think we had him on the road within his first 3 to 6 months. He was on the road with me and my former tag partner Hostage Hirsch. We ran as Onslaught for the longest, and Hostage, he cleared from or drifted off from us, and he's doing his own thing. So, all for it. I wish him the best in his career. Um, but me and Chris, we've been in sync since we started. We went to high school together, and I brought him into this, and I was like, "Hey, dude, I need a tag partner. I need somebody who's young, who's really athletic, and my size that we can do some crazy acrobatic shit
Mm-hmm.
with." And Chris got in, and once he really started to learn his basics and his footwork, we've come up with some interesting tag moves. We take tag moves from guys that you see on the main rosters, and we'll try and modify them in our own ways. Everybody does the double super kick, stuff like that, but we look at guys like Motor City.
Mm-hmm.
If me and him actually sit down and we study, and we'll watch Motor City all day long, and it's just we've had. I want to say one of the guys that he used to work with, he's like, "Man, y'all remind me of the X Division on TNA. I'll be watching y'all's matches, and y'all remind me of the X Division. Y'all are all over the ring, fucking hitting corners, hitting ropes, everything." hitting everybody from all different angles, and I'm like, yeah, that's what's up.
Thank you, thank
That's what's up.
you. You get it.
But yeah, no, we're just trying to, he's still trying to find who he is. I'm slowly finding who I am, and that's again, like you said, it's the
Yeah.
journey is finding who you are, piece by piece, and same goes with tag team. Once we find who we are, eventually, I'm sure it's gonna all click, and Obsidian's gonna be popping off in Texas.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what's so scary is right now is you guys haven't quite honed in yet on who you are as care. And when you do, like when that switch flips and that light bulb goes off, that's the most gratifying feeling because it just means
Mm-hmm.
everything that you're doing right now, all the work that you're putting in, whether the trial and error of implementing this, whether it's character work or ring work, et cetera, that means that it was all fucking worth it. And you're gonna know when it
Mm-hmm.
happens. Like here, it's gonna. With me, it was 2001. I keep saying 20 because I'm saying 2020, 2022. 2001. I was working Ricky Morton, and was working Ricky and Robert with Buddy Landell, and we 2000 late mid 2000 late 2000 into 2001. It was like a whole fucking 6 week run. It was a 6 week loop. It was great, but best time of my entire career. I learned so much. But it wasn't until then that I figured out, like, I got it. Now I get it. The light went off, and it was the best until I got out. Because you think everybody does, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't really know, and you don't know until you get
No.
in there. Until it's so hard to explain, man. It really is. You can listen to the crowd all you want to. You can listen to peers all you want to, and they can tell you that you got it, and they can tell you that it's there, but you don't know until you know. Have you had any moments like that where
Mm-hmm.
you realize like, okay, and it could be something simplistic or it could be something complicated within the business and within the industry. It could be in the ring, it could be in the locker room, it could be anything like where you just where something just goes off and you're like, that's what we, you know. I know it's a broad question.
Yeah. I've had a couple of moments like that, especially here recently. I go back and like I start film studying, and everybody tells you like, hey, just watch this match. Like, and I don't mean just like watch it from like a fan perspective, or to watch it and be like, watch this spot. I mean, like really like look into it. Watch the footwork, watch the selling, watch the meaning behind
Hmm.
each movement. I'm going back and I'm watching, like I said, matches from early 2015 of NXT when Neville was still wrestling. I'm breaking some of his matches down. I'm like, oh, I never noticed this like 2 years ago. Like, I understand why this popped so hard. And that also goes back to another moment that I had in the match with Daniel Ryan with me, Chris Chaos, and my manager, Devin DeVille. We had Terrell Tempo there. He was watching the match. He was breaking down. He was like, did you see how the crowd popped for when the manager, like, Danny stopped for a second? He slapped the manager in the bald head. And then later on in the match, Deville and Chris were doing a spot where Deville holds Danny, and Chris is. I got the ref distracted. Chris is gonna slide in, and he's gonna kick Danny in the groin. Well, with Deville being the chicken shit heel and doing all these cheap shots and everything throughout the whole match, the biggest pop, it wasn't Danny diving over the top rope. It wasn't the finish, us hitting each other with boom, 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 here, here, and here with this strike, this move, and da 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 da. It was the crowd got that. They got that I don't want to say cherry on top. They got that satisfaction of, oh, this manager's been causing Danny to get hurt this entire match. He's been screwing up his momentum. He's been causing him to get shut back down. And then Danny moves out the way. Chris low blows Deville by accident. It's little moments like that that are starting to click to me. And uh, having our vets who have been working since Houston was wrestling walk up to me and be like, "Hey, are you noticing this?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's slowly clicking. The light bulbs are starting to go off more and more. It's like every match I have, I'm starting to have another light bulb slowly click on, and I'm like, all right, sweet, the momentum's picking up again. I'm starting to realize all this. Let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? What's next?"
Dude, that yes, those are exactly what I'm talking about, man. Because it's the little things. So when you say something like that, like it's like a man after my own fucking heart. Is on our channel. We always say it's the little things that make the big things. It's something. It's like the cell.
Yes.
It's like okay. So here's an example. I got so pissed when we were. And again, when we watch stuff, we're watching full shows, sight unseen. We don't have context usually. We're watching independent. We're spotlighting independent guys and girls. We're watching 2 hours of matches, first time watches. So it's all genuine reaction as we're watching it. There's a spot in a match, and it pissed me off, and I lost my shit. And I always say the little things, and this was a perfect example of that. Two guys, they're crisscrossing, double cross body block in the center of the ring. So big bump for both of them. And this is 15 minutes into the match. The referee, this motherfucker. If I see this guy, I am going to pull him to the side and say, "Sir, what are you doing?" And I'm going to call this. This guy goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Force these guys to. They can't even sell the fucking move. They can't sell the exhaustion. They can't sell the chase on who's getting to their feet first. Like all these little bitty nuances you just took away because you fast counted something like that. And like, was it the end of the world? No, but it did it take out of the situation? Yes, because that referee could have easily one step back, two step back. Like give these guys time to sell. And it's the little shit like that we watch, and I don't lose my shit often, but when I do, it's usually over something like that. So it makes me happy to hear you say that I'm starting to see the little things, and I'm starting to get the little things, because that means that you're now on the road.
Those
You're
little
on the road to
things.
being dangerous, because once you start getting the little things, the big things start clicking next, and that is when it's a fucking beautiful thing.
It's the little things that bring the crowd in, and once you bring that crowd in, you start pleasing that crowd, and then they're just invested in every little thing you do, and it's just snowball effect. It just keeps
Mm-hmm.
going.
Yes, 1,000%. When your career, I mean, you're so young into your career. Where do you want to be in the next? I mean, I say 5 years, but like realistically, like where do you see yourself in the next 1 to 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to be?
Um, Definitely want to just be a big name here in Texas. I want to be one of those breakout stars that we're having. Like we can have like probably 5 to 6 breakout stars a year if we really look at it. And I just want to be one of those breakout stars. I want to slowly start traveling out. I want to travel to other states in the U.S. And then from the states, I just want to start going international. It's I'm very aware of how it is for men's wrestling. We have a 1% chance of making it to like WWE, AEW, places like that because there's so many male talent. Guys like myself, Chris Chaos. There's so much male talent out there. We have a 1 to 2% chance of making it. But I just want to be able to say I traveled the world, I wrestled, and I lived out my dream, and I got to see beautiful sights along the way. That's I. If I don't go to WWE, it's not the end all be all. I just want to be able to say, I've seen some of the most beautiful places here in the world, and I've been able to entertain everybody everywhere I've gone.
I love to hear that mentality, brother. I really do. And the beautiful thing about the independent scene right now is, and I don't think it's going back anywhere at all. We've been locked in for the last 2 years, globally, just everywhere. Uh, with
Mm.
Texas specifically, and the boom that is independent wrestling right now, you don't have to be under a contract to be able to make a good living on the indie
Mm.
scene. You can get out there and
No,
make
not
that
at all.
shit happen, and be your own man and be your own boss. And I mean, it's work. Don't get me wrong. You know that. It's a lot of, it'll be a lot of work, but it is very possible, especially with where you're at in life in general, because like you're getting ready to knock on the door of your mid 20s. And here's my holy fucking shit moment that I tell all the young guys that come on this show. In professional wrestling, you don't hit your prime till your mid 30s, right?
Yeah,
Right? Okay. So you're, in the next 3 to 5
I
years, you
believe
see
that.
where you want to be. That puts you in that 27, 28
Mm.
range. You're 7, 8 years away from your prime. Now think about where you'll be at
Yep.
when you're in the prime of your career, brother. It's a real scary sight. It's a real scary thing to think, when, especially with how the independent wrestling is continuing to grow. It is not. It is a wildfire everywhere, and I think that it's a beautiful thing to see when we get some guys that come on the show like you, that have this passion to want to get out there and want to succeed, and have the realistic expectation that comes along with that. Because you could be a rock star in the state of Texas, which, I mean, hello, the Von Erichs. They they came from Texas, right? Like that's the bread and butter of professional
Mhm.
wrestling. There, Terry Funk and all these other cats. It's possible to stranglehold it. It's possible to be that next
Mhm.
guy, and for the state of Texas, everybody has them. Like, and there's
Yeah.
different. Australia, as an example, there's like you have the pillars, is what I call them, of the states, that like we need to call this guy because we know we're gonna get good shit, good shit, good shit. Like
Mhm.
it's realistic to be there. And we've talked a lot about wrestling. We talked a lot about you. We talked about the Lions Den, and traveling, the whole deal. What's some stuff that you like to do when you do get some free time, man? Because I mean, Mama Mercer says you're never home. You're in the gym. You're at the den. You're at work, or you're traveling. So, in the off chance that you do get 20 minutes to enjoy yourself, what's some stuff that you like to do for you? Like, how do you decompress? What's your fallback on?
Um, it's my family mostly, man. It's even on my off days, I still go to the gym. Gym's been a big part of my life since I left. I started pro wrestling. I believe it or not, I'm 180, 86.8 pounds right now. I was like 135, 145 leaving high school. I was skin and bones. And Mama Mercer will tell you that I was a twig. And so, that's always been a big part of my life. And I love to be at the gym and just continue to grow physically and make sure I'm healthy. But if it's not the gym, then it's being with my family. Um, like I said earlier, Mama Mercer wasn't the greatest mom, but we all had our mistakes. We've grown from that, and I just now that everybody's not being separated from each other. Not everybody's bouncing around town to town. We're all living our own lives. We all are in happy places. We're all at peace. I just like going to spend time with my family, whether it's with Mama Mercer or if it's with my stepmom, who's about 20 minutes from here, maybe. She has her own farm with like goats and chickens and dogs and everything. So whether I'm with them or I'm with Mama Mercer, I love being with my family.
Love it. Love to hear it. I do. I truly do. I I've got, actually, Mama Mercer had a comment. She says there's a lot of talent there, but not all the talent has the heart for it. When we're talking about our last piece of that conversation. My mind just went out the other way. It's ADHD rather than ADD, or yeah, ADD. Excuse me. It's a son of a bitch. My mind's here, and then it gets
Oh,
over.
I get ADHD.
Um,
I get ADHD too. I know exactly how that
it's
is.
wild. It's wild. It's fun. It's never a dull moment. I'll tell you that. I got
Yep.
some. These are I got three questions for you here, and it may take a few
Yes,
minutes to
sir.
answer them. But I really enjoy these questions because of our platform and what we've been able to do that I never thought would be possible at 42 years old and just doing this 2 years ago, right? Um,
Mhm.
there's a you mentioned here, with Texas, you've mentioned getting some stuff out of state. You've mentioned trying to get some stuff internationally. I want to know,
Yes,
where do
sir.
you want to go? If we could manifest Trent Mercer bookings, whether it's here in the States with companies or if it's overseas, what are some companies that you want to try and get your foot in the door?
Oh, I did this earlier. I did a earlier this week. I did a vision board, and it had three flags on. Well, not three. It had one promotion and two flags. There was Japan. Everybody like New Japan. It's one of those places. It's rough. It's tough, but that's one of the places you really want to go to like test your
Mm-hmm.
physicality and really see what you're made of. So Japan's one place I want to go. Um, I just know I've heard so many good things about Japan, from the food to the beautiful sights, everything from the culture. I love Japan. Um, Another place I want to go is the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom's produced so much great talent. You got guys like Drill Maloney, Gabe Kidd, um, Neville. You've got, oh God, there's so many, and it's not even just wrestling. They got guys like the Beast Eddie Hall. Like athletes over there, just a whole nother breed. The athlete scene in the United Kingdom is just amazing. And again, I'm a fat kid at heart. I love food, so I just want to go try different food from different
I'm a fat
cultures.
kid in real
Um,
life. And I like food too.
but yeah, no, I just want to go see the beautiful sights and try and dip my toes in different cultures and see what it's like over there. And you know, another promotion I've heard a lot of great talks about is Riot City Wrestling in Australia.
Oh, brother.
Um,
Hold on. Hold the fuck on. Riot City Wrestling is my best friend. That entire company. I
really?
literally had Mike Boomer on here last Saturday. I have Mickey Fortune and Zach Sabbath coming on in August. I've had Redshaw on twice.
Nice.
I've had Jimmy C on. I've had Angus Dacey on. Chris Basso is in our Discord server. Oh, sorry. Uh, they're the reason this platform fucking exists. The sole reason
Oh,
that
wow.
this platform exists. Can I tell you a story real quick? I do not mean to step on you. When you say Riot
Yeah,
City
yeah, no,
Wrestling in Australia,
no, you're good.
I'm motherfucking connected. Especially to Riot City. Of all fans in the
Cool.
world, Trent fucking Mercer says Riot City Wrestling on my show. That is wild. And UK Paul, I know he's probably fucking popping right now. So, 2 years ago, right about, maybe a little bit longer, I was working with three guys. And I'll give you the abridged version.
Mhm.
We were working with three guys. And they, two of them, when I said I wanted to do independent wrestling, they're like, that's not going to fucking work. I was like, well, I'm not here for it to work. I just want to watch independent wrestling. And I parted ways with them. And I started this channel. And I threw a dart at the map. At a map on the wall, threw a dart, landed in Australia. I Googled wrestling companies in
Nice.
Australia. The first company I came across, Riot City Wrestling. I said, oh, they have a YouTube page. Went to their YouTube page, pulled a show, randomly watched it on a stream. That started literally the best relationship on the face of the planet because I cover their shit every month. Every month they wait for me to watch
Well,
their stuff.
that-
So and vice versa. I wait for them to put out shows. They are the only company that I'll go out of my way to shift my programming around just to watch their stuff. That's how important they are to me. I yes. Tell me about Riot City Wrestling from your point of view, because this motherfucker is getting clipped and they are going to be tagged. So
It- like I say, I love learning about different culture, and we have some of the best. I will say some of the best talent right now that are Aussies.
mhm,
Rhea Ripley,
mhm.
she's one. She's up there. You got Buddy Matthews, who's doing his thing on AEW. Um, who else?
You have Jonah
Trying to
Rock,
think of something.
excuse me,
Zarya.
Bronson Reed, who was Jonah Rock in Australia.
Zarya. They have Australia's starting to pick up from what I've heard from them, and they talk about how it's grown since like they've started and how it helped them develop. So I believe some people find who they are by wrestling international,
Facts.
and because I will say Finn Balor is a big one. I would say is he did his thing in Ireland, but he went to Japan and he blew the fuck up in Japan. He made major waves. He made
Mm-hmm.
tsunamis in fucking Japan, and he left Ireland. He found who he was in Japan, and next thing you know, WWE is knocking at his door. So I firmly believe if you go and you wrestle internationally, it's scary, but it really tests you because you're having to get out of your comfort zone. You're having to learn how to work their styles, and you're also being tested on learning new things. So I'm also one of those kind of people that's like, you throw me into the deep end, it's sink or swim. Either I fail and I pack my bags and I go home, or I grab the reins and I'm hauling ass and we're going up. So I would love to wrestle internationally, and if I got the chance to go to Australia, that I'm all for it.
Dude, I am. We need to talk off air. I don't want to give out any more secrets. I am about as well connected can get in Australia. Not just with Riot City Wrestling, with about 7 other feds there. So I have a standing engagement with Bobby Bishop out of Queensland with Pro Wrestling League. He comes on and watches their shows back with us. I'm yeah. We'll talk when we get off this. I got you. I got you. Uh, I don't, man. I've never in my life did I think that I would be sitting here on a stream and say, "Hey, man, what kind of companies do you want to work for?" And dude spits out the one that started my fucking channel. Like that is wild to me.
And that's another thing. It's everybody's so focused on these like big name promotions that are like overseas, like Japan, like New Japan and Noah. But some people forget about like I don't want to say like underground promotions, but like Australia, like Riot City Wrestling. I don't think people really stop and like give them give them their flowers. I feel like they're very underrated in a sense.
1,000%. 1,000%. So we got that. Man, I need you for about 10 minutes when we end this. We're on the downward hoof right now, just so we're clear, because I'm on yeah. I ask you that question to get to this next question, and I will tell you why I asked this question once you give me your answer. Doesn't sound fair, but it will be when you give me your answer. Uh, who should we be watching? And I preface that, and I'll break it down a little bit with people that you've been in the ring with, or people that impressed you. In your opinion, according to Trent Mercer,
I
go
will,
ahead. Who should we be watching?
um, I will say it's the two people that I have definitely look up to as big brothers, um, Jack Calloway and Princely. Princely has been wrestling. He's been training longer than I have. He debuted before me, or yeah, no, he debuted after me. But he's from when he started to now, he's blown up in his own sense, and he's always looked out for me. And same with Jack. Jack started after
Mm-hmm.
me, and he debuted after me, but he surpassed me in so many ways. He's got the social media thing down. He's got the character. He's got the look, and he's not afraid to go out there. He's not afraid to go out there and just network, whether it's getting paid or not. He's not afraid to just jump into the water. Um, but there's always that moment of where you know Jack will message me and he'll be like, "How are you doing, brother?" Or, "Hey, keep going. You're doing good shit. You're popping off. Just stay in the Booker's face." And same with Prince Lee. Um, there was a moment that Prince he really broke it down. It was after Mania last year, or Mania this past year. He was like, "Let me break it down to you. Do you want to be that wrestler who's just, oh, you're just eating chicken and rice. You're constantly chasing that bag for chicken and rice, or do you want to be the motherfucker that's going and having 5-star steak
Mm-hmm.
dinners?" I was like, okay, this is starting to make sense. He's like, you just got to get out there. Every time he goes and meets a new booker, he's like, Princely, Lions Pride. And he made it like very known. Like, Lions Pride is at that point where it's like, it's a brand. It's a foot in the door. You say Lions Pride, they're expecting a lot of a lot of good things from you. You got a big reputation and big boots to fill when you tell people you're of Lions Pride, because of where we've came from and how much we've grown and how we're never taking our foot off the gas. And those two have had my back. They've they've given me so much knowledge of, hey, just go. Whether it's just by yourself, or it's you and Chris, or it's you and somebody else, just go. And that's all I can really say is like those are my big brothers. If I had to, take somebody up with me the whole way, it's Chris, there's Lee, and there's Jack. All three of them have had my backs, and I will put their names out there as much as they put mine out there.
Well, I tell you why I ask you that question, because again, we independent wrestling. It's what we do. It's everything we do here on the channel. And there are some names that you gave me that I'm not familiar with, that I haven't heard before. I've heard of Jack Calloway, and I have already watched some of Jack Calloway. I think he's fucking tremendous. I know who Chris Chaos
Amazing.
is. I have seen a couple of his matches too, with both of y'all's actually. And I did the one I'm not familiar with will go on my internal spreadsheet. So I have 8 people who work on this channel with me, co-host wise, and we do a wide variety of things. And at some point in time, there will be a show that comes up on all of these people who are on our spreadsheets, and we get those names from guys like you. You know them better than anybody else does. You know where the hidden gems are, and that's what this channel is all about. We're not here for mainstream. It's never been my goal. It's never been my deal. Oh shit! What happened? There we go. We're back. I bounced. It took me off for a second, but we're back. Don't know what happened.
You're good.
But the names go on our spreadsheet so we can watch, and we can give the credit to you as the one who referred them to us to take a peek at or to take a look at. It's how our door continues to revolve and continues to move forward. And without the contributions of all you guys, we wouldn't have anything to really watch, and that makes the world a pretty fucking boring place. Um, Last question I've got for you on this piece of the business is that it's generic, but it happens to we happen to have a little bit of luck with it, so I'm gonna ask it anyway. Who are some people that you want to get in the ring with? If you've got your list, everybody's got one. Who are some of your dream matches that on the independent scene that you want to people you want to step in the ring with?
Um, so here in Texas, I would say, you know, I've been, I would say Matthew Palmer. I would love to run it back with him again, Athena's husband. I've wrestled him one time, and I would like to have another go again to maybe have a better match. You can always try and one up your last match. You're only as good as your last
Mm-hmm.
match. Um, but I would love to wrestle Matthew Palmer again. Vin Parker, one of Dustin Rhodes' students. He's making waves out there. I've seen him wrestle a couple times, and I'd love to mix it up with him. Um, Stephen Wolf. Stephen Wolf is who he is. He's
Fantastic.
man's wrestled international. I want to get to a level to where I can wrestle him, and he's like, "Oh, dude, good shit." And, it's. I like to look at a match if I don't get a whole lot of critiques. In a way, it can go either good or bad. Either A, they just don't care, or B, you did really good, and there's not a lot that they can nitpick at. And if they do have a lot for like nitpicking, it's very little stuff, and it's usually just like personal references of like how what they've learned from traveling or from other people. Um, but Stephen Wolf, he's one of the names that I've been watching, and he's made a lot of moves out there.
Wolf is fantastic. That dude
Dude's
is a
nature.
beast, man.
Athletic as hell.
Actually, he's a wolf, but he is fantastic. I when I saw his last run over in Rev Pro, like anything that I saw from him, I was trying to share because that dude is crushing it. And there are some other names on the list that you just kind of gave off that I'm not familiar with too much. So guess what? They just made the list too, the spreadsheet, because that's how we again continue to move forward. Man, this has been a fantastic conversation. I could not be more thankful to sit down with you and get to talk to you about your journey thus far, and it's just getting started. What I've taken away from
Yes, sir.
this is that you have got a love for professional wrestling. It's a deep rooted love, and you have a determination. And I see where you want to go, and I know that you're not going to take no for an answer. I think that you keep pushing the way that you've been pushing with the dedication that you've carried and the way that you've carried yourself throughout this entire conversation. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and a matter of where do you want to go and how do you want to do it and how do you want to be there. I always say that these conversations, I mean, they're organic from the time we go on the air to the time we go off. And naturally, I just scratched the surface. There's a lot more to what makes Trent Mercer tick, and there's a lot more to you. And the door, sir, is open at any time that you want to come back and chat with us. You're more than welcome to. I've had a fantastic time with you this evening.
I've enjoyed the podcast myself. Chris said it was a lot of fun, and he wasn't lying. I've enjoyed this conversation.
Sometimes they can be awkward. People are like, I remember when I first started doing them. As a matter of fact, we got a little story here on the way out. We talk about Riot City Wrestling. The very first Beyond the Belt, the first person to tell us, "Yeah, man, I'll come talk to you," was Red Shaw at a Riot City Wrestling. So not only did Riot City Wrestling birth basically this channel off of the initial watch along that we did, Beyond the Bell wouldn't be a thing if Red Shaw wouldn't have said, "Yeah, man, I'll come and talk to you." We had so many no's before we had our first yes, and it all circles back around to Australia. We're going to get Trent Mercer to Australia. Mark my words. Is there anything that you would like to say to the people? Anything that you want to plug? Anything, the floor is yours. I always turn it over to you guys on the way out. By all means.
Um, I'll plug my social. My Instagram is watchdog_Mercer. Um, Pretty easy to find me on Facebook, Trent Mercer. It's usually, I'm pretty sure my background still says Watchdog. I need to go in and change it. But as a message to everybody else, it's just, you know, don't be afraid to take risk. Don't let your past be the reason that you're not happy with your life right now. And you know, don't don't hold your stand. I don't want to say don't hold your standards too high because, like I said, in wrestling, you don't ever make it. There's a 1% to 2% chance for a male athlete to make it to WWE. But as long as you're living your dream, you love doing what you do, and you're happy with yourself mentally and physically, then there's nothing more you can ask for in life. Just be happy being yourself and doing what you love, and let the next day come. And if it doesn't, then at least you can go out saying that you lived a happy life and you went out in a peaceful mindset.
I always say life is a highway and I just want to ride it. Let's go where the road takes us, buddy. This has been fantastic. And No Game Unturned has popped in chats as words of wisdom to live by. Mr. Mercer, again, it has been fantastic. And for all of you out here on Twitch, if you've joined us live, we appreciate you and all of your questions that you put in, all your comments that you made. If you're catching us over on social media, over on our YouTube platform, listen, the easiest way that you can support independent wrestling is by sharing, and subscribing. In Trent Mercer's case, he just plugged it. It's been on the screen the entire show. Right there, watchdog_Mercer is where you can find him on Instagram. Go over there and give him a follow. It's the easiest way that you can support. Share his stuff, get it out there. You may find that you like what Mr. Mercer has going on, and then that's going to take you to Lions Pride, and then you may find some other people there that you like what's going on, and oh my God, you have just expanded your horizons in professional wrestling. I promise you, you won't disappoint it. For Mr. Trent Mercer, I am Chris Page. We will see you next time.